since we last talked, Trent Williams has requested an extension and maybe requested to get released if he doesn't get said extension. What do you think the 49ers should do? I haven't asked you. Should they just give him what he wants and keep him happy? Should they cut him? Should they trade him? Should they do nothing? What do you think?
Wow, this is a tough one, right? Because you know, they don't have they're not prepared. It's like the storm is coming and they don't have a storm, you know, they don't have a storm shelter. It's like, well, now what? You don't have a storm shelter. You're just effed. You know what I mean? It's like you don't have a backup plan. But then on the other hand, the Niners seem to be kind of smiling boldly through this period, being like, we have Austin Pleasance and Colton McKivitz and Trent Williams, and we're not even going to draft a tackle. I mean, it has that kind of vibe to it almost as well. So I'm not really sure exactly where they're at. I know this would be a great year to draft a tackle. I saw that ASU kid, Ian Hatcher, and he's just a 330 pounds with the greatest movement ability I've ever seen on anybody, 330 pounds. He might be a little raw, but I mean, that's what Chris Forster gets paid to do is coach these guys. That looks like an amazing talent, and or he looks like an amazing talent. It's almost otherworldly. So yes, I mean I don't think they ought to trade him, but it comes right down to it. Are you going to keep putting yourself in this dead cap hell? Because that's what you're headed towards. You're headed towards a mountain of dead cap, all connected to Trent Williams. You had a mountain of dead cap last year. How did that feel? If you like that feeling, then keep going down this road. If not, you better either get him to take less or at least consider your options. But I'll say this. I think this part is really sensitive. This is a very powerful presence in your room and a guy that almost has a seat at the table as far as ownership is concerned. I would either be fully quiet about it and tell nobody that you're going to do it or tell Trent everything, you know, but I wouldn't play it like I'm just going to talk to some teams and hope it doesn't get out. You know what I mean? Because if it gets out and he's unhappy, you will rather have traded him than kept him.
I would trade him. Nothing against him. I mean, I think he would have a better chance to win a Super Bowl somewhere else. I would trade him to Houston. They need a left tackle. The Niners need a draft pick. I mean, they would save more money if they cut him with the post-June 1 designation, but then you'd have to – I want a draft pick, and I would take the dead cap hit now and move on. And I think one thing is going on with the Niners, maybe their fans, is they're, like, addicted to Trent Williams in the sense that he's one of the best left tackles of all time. His successor isn't going to be as good as Trent Williams. And that's okay. 30 other teams don't have Trent Williams. Eventually, the Niners won't either. But what you can have is a guy who's 23 on a rookie deal who will be here at a reasonable rate for the next 4 years and maybe for the next 10 if you give him multiple extensions. But that's what the Niners need. They need to get younger, especially on offense. They got to stop letting veterans treat them like an ATM. They got to put their foot down. And if they were to put it down with a future Hall of Famer, I think it would probably prevent this from happening every single year. It would show that they were strong. And I'm sorry, enough is enough. Trade him to Houston for what do you think Houston would give up for Trent Williams? Their second round pick? Two second round picks?
No, I think it's less because he's of his age. I think it's probably a third round pick.
Okay.
And then you gotta ask yourself, is it worth it? I'd be okay with that too, especially if you really liked a couple players that you knew were in your range, you know, that you knew you could get. Let's say you've watched the film and you've met all the players and you're like, you know what? We love Jennings Dunker or whatever. We think he's special. We're going to play him at guard for 1 year and then we're going to put him at tackle. You know, if you feel like there's a guy that you could get that you think's a great building block, then yeah. Or if you feel like there's a second round pick out there that if you just have that player, then some team was willing to give you a second. You know, I think you got to be at this point at least considering all options.
You can get a starting offensive tackle, a good one, at the end of round 1. Joe Staley was the 28th pick in the draft. The Niners picked 27th. If they want to trade up, they can always move up 5, 6, 7 spots if they need to. I mean, like why wait? I mean, you just got another 16 games out of Trent Williams. Count your blessings. move on, and don't get taken advantage of one more time. Now is the perfect time to. What would Bill Walsh do? That's always the question you should ask as a 49ers pundit, fan, general manager. There's no way he would give Trent Williams another extension at 38 years old. He'd be the guy to say, we're going to move on early, not too late.
Yeah, it's such a tough call. But I will say this. I mean, most of a buddy of mine who, scouts was like, hey, Krug, let me just tell you this, the annual thing. And he's like, I know you know this, but this is one of the thoughts that I heard a lot on the sidelines in Mobile is that when you look at these tackle classes, there's always a bunch of tackles, but when you really get down into the tape, you realize that of the 20 tackles that like 7 of them or 8 of them are going to wind up being tackles, and like the rest of them are going to have to like kind of transition to center or guard because they don't quite either have the length or the foot movement or the reactions or the arm length, whatever it is that they view as essential tackle traits. So, a lot of these guys that are just massive. I mean, people talk about Caden Proctor. Caden Proctor's 6'7", 360, 370. He's just a massive man. And he's been way heavier than that. These guys,
really well.
He did move really well. The Niners, I'll say this, the Niners love the 10-yard split. And if there was a guy to watch for in the combine, it was the Georgia kid. I think his name's Micah Morris, and he's a guard. He's like a 6'4", 335-pound guard, but he had far and away the best 10-yard split. It was like a 170 10-yard split at 330. That guy can really, really move, and I saw him at Georgia. I mean, he was a very good player at Georgia. He's slated to be there middle of the draft, 4th round, 5th round.
Caden Proctor really intrigues me. He reminds me a lot of Alfred Collins in the sense that like they're big guys that move really, really well, but they don't really have NFL bodies. But the Niners took a risk with Alfred Collins, just like they did with his older cousin Trent Brown. And it seems like Alfred Collins lost a lot of weight and bought into the nutrition stuff that they were pushing to him. I mean, he asked Nick Bosa for help. They could do the same type of thing with Caden Proctor and feel like this guy's 6'7", he's 360, 350. If he loses 30 pounds and puts on good muscle, he could be an absolute freak of nature for us, and you could get him late in round 1. I would not be against a pick like that for the Niners.
Well,
I mean, it's the kind of pick that the Eagles would make.
He's a jumbo guy for sure.
Yep.
I mean, but you watch practice. I mean, the first 5 drills for practice are all their offensive linemen sprinting, so that's really what they're looking for. They're looking for athletic guys who can sprint off the ball. So, I don't know. I mean, personally, I think the, people that I've talked to think that Proctor is more of an offensive guard. And that he may not even be a left guard, that he may just be a right guard.
Kind of tough to play guard at 6'7". Kai Becton did it.
Yeah.
Maybe. That's what everyone was saying about Kelvin Banks last year. He ended up being a good left tackle.
We're in a different world now, though. It's like in the old days, the guards were athletic, like Guy McIntyre, and the tackles were gigantic, like House Ballard. And now the tackles are kind of smaller, but can move their feet, but the guards are just behemoth. Just absolutely.
To me, though, like if you take a guy at 27 and you hope he could be a left tackle, but it turns out he can only be a left guard, but he's a good one, that's a good pick at 27. Any offensive lineman that's good is a good pick at 27. A center would be good at 27.
I mean,
I don't really care what position he plays.
I mean, what they really need more than anything, they just need a great offensive lineman. I mean, they as far as where exactly does the guy play? Is he right tackle, left guard? I'll tell you the couple of guys that I think are just flat out dominant. To me, the guy Keelan Rutledge out of Georgia Tech, this guy's film is great. His combine was great. He's a former wrestler. He's just got great leverage. I love everything about that guy. That's a plug and play left guard right now. Keelan Rutledge, love him. I think to me he's awesome. But he's not the only guy. The Penn State guy is just a freaking ridiculous road grader. I mean, if you look up road grader, you'd see that how when they scrape the roads of ice, they have what that's what that guy is. That guy is that guy. If you watch the film, and this is Big Ten film. This is not high school film. This isn't Division III film. Big Ten film where this guy is like it's like The Blind Side, where he's like driving the guy 12 yards down the field and then into the turf. I mean that guy might be a Canton type player. He looks awesome to me. He's so special. And like if you just said the Niners started their draft with that guy, I'd just be like, that was smart. Just smart.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't go wrong. Nobody would ever call you anything but smart if you wind up with Ola Ione. But then he's not alone. Emmanuel Pregnon from Oregon is just an absolute ridiculous player. 75 was his number at Oregon, and he's a terrific player. He looked great at the combine, but he's just a great player. I'm a big A&M fan. Their guard, Basantis, terrific road grading monster. Dunker from Iowa, I don't think's a tackle, but I do think's a guard, and what a monster he is. He's another road grader. As a guard, I think he's one of the safest, great picks in this draft. The guy I liked, I told you about Micah Morris. They're saying is probably going to be a late day 3 pick, but I think he's a great fit for the Niners. 6'5", 334. The guy, Grant, that you got to watch, who I think would be an absolute awesome pick to replace Brendel, is the Oklahoma center. His name's Fabichi Nawawu. Fabichi Nawawu, 6'4", 320. You have to watch this guy, though. He's a center. He can play guard, but I think he could be like an awesome, incredible drive blocking center. So there's a bunch of guys. Logan Taylor from Boston College. Jeremiah Wright, the gigantic wide body from Auburn, is like a bus. I mean, he's just so wide. It's crazy.